Well, look who's back. 2 videos within 2 weeks. That's crazy. I know what you're thinking. I'm truly and officially a social media influencer, superstar now. I don't think I've done 2 videos in 2 weeks and man, for as long as I can remember. But I gotta do it now because I'm gonna be gone for a little bit, close out the rest of the year. And so let's just dive into it. If you see me sweating, it's because I just finished working out. But like I said, I had to make this video because there's a couple of key things I want to touch on that's going to benefit some of you who we're working with. Quick admin. Number 1, no branded titles. If you're looking for a vehicle, do not even entertain branded titles. They're a no-go. In all the years I've been doing this, I have yet to see a situation where an NEMT provider has been able to insure. You might be able to pass it through DMV, whatever, get a license, but to get it insured for NEMT, it's just not going to happen. And if you do, at what cost, at what burden, at how much hassle, just don't waste your time. Do not waste your time. And I know the allure. I know hey, here's a $50,000 Ford Transit that you can pick up on the cheap for $25,000 because it's a branded title. We're not doing that. Do not waste your time or effort. It's not good. It's not good for resale value. Nothing. There's no upside to it. So I don't care what any of these salesmen are telling you or what they're going to do for you and how they'll spec it out for you and all that stuff according to what you want. Doesn't matter. Do not do it. Okay, quick emails. Let's start with, I'm going to go to this one first. This is from this past week before the Thanksgiving holiday. Good evening, Joel. Question, small update for you. Question, had a referral source ask us if we can transport residents with equipment. Sticking to what I know, I mentioned that we can stow oxygen tanks in the van and accommodate if it is attached to the wheelchair. But they asked about us transporting with medical equipment. What is our policies around transporting patients with medical equipment necessities? Great question. Bottom line, here's how we do this. If it's something that is transportable, as in like it can be put on the patient's the back of the wheelchair or stretcher, then it's doable. If it's something that obviously, 2 things. If it needs monitoring, can't happen. Can't happen. We're not going to transport anything with the patient that needs monitoring. Second thing is, if it's something that's so big and cumbersome that requires you to put the patient in the vehicle and then run back and get it and then come back out, we're not doing that. You know, because for those of you new to this channel, I'm a West Point graduate. I majored in pre-law, minored in systems engineering. Everything I do with business, and especially for those of you who I've worked with, you know, everything I do is from a legalistic or risk management related mindset. So that is the prism in which I view everything through. So with what I just said, you do not want to leave a patient unattended in your van. Even if the patient is ambulatory, you still don't want to leave them in there. Huge liability risk. You never know what can happen. And maybe it's not even something with the patient. Maybe it's someone else. If you go inside and you're trying to finagle something, coordinate something, get help with something, lift something, bring it out, whatever you're going to do, how long is that patient going to be unattended in the vehicle? Not a good situation. It can quickly go sideways on you. So to go back to your great question about what's the policy on what we're transporting, all of you know, we don't touch the O2 regulators ever. So if you go pick someone up and they're on O2, that's cool. If they got their own tank, depending where they're coming from. If they're coming from their home, if they got their own tank, they connected it, family connected it, a nurse through home care services connected it, whoever, I don't care, as long as it's not you and it's not your drivers. Thereafter, it's got to be portable. You got to be able to put it on the wheelchair or the stretcher and safely, secure it with straps, put it in the holder and everything. And then the second thing is, like I said before, it can't be anything that can be monitored. Cannot be anything that can be monitored. First of all, it's got to be small enough that you can secure it with the patient in the back so it doesn't become a flying object if, God forbid, there was an accident. And then the other caveat, like I said, is it can't be something that has to be monitored because that's going to incur more cost. Someone's got to sit in the back with them. If that were the situation, then there's no question, a hard stop. That patient has to be transported with an aid from that facility wherever they're coming from. He continues, hospital update went well. Looks like I spoke with the first gatekeeper. She was impressed by our packet and our conversations and intends on referring me to blank. She did ask about the insurance, which I assured her we had. Okay, that's great. For those of you new to the channel, the gatekeepers, the real decision makers are the people who are on the front lines of these facilities, the people who are actually picking up the phone, those case managers, social workers, unit secretaries, people who are actually making the phone calls. But you have to get through them to get to the, oftentimes an administrator, executive director, someone along those lines. You got to kiss the ring. Bottom line, you got to get there, kiss the ring, get their blessings, do work in the facility. If you're going to negotiate a contract, no question, it's going to go through them. But then on a daily basis, the people who are picking up the phones, calling you, those really are the decision makers. But they're a gatekeeper. When you're initially building those relationships, they're a gatekeeper. That's why he talks about the packet. When we're working with you one-on-one, the welcome packets. Hey man, we even if you're a newbie, it doesn't mean you need to look like a newbie. That doesn't mean we sling BS and we try to say, okay, you're only starting with 1 or 2 vehicles, but you got a fleet of 20. We don't do that. That's setting yourself up for failure. It's the stupidest thing you could possibly do. But even if you're starting with 1 or 2 vehicles, doesn't mean we don't make you look professional, well organized. We want anything that you have that we could leverage, any of your experience, your knowledge, credentials, previous awards from previous jobs or positions that you had. We want to leverage that stuff, and we articulate that in your welcome packets because you want to use those welcome packets. When you go kiss the ring, you want to have the welcome packet and the marketing materials. So if our media team is building out your website, they're going to build your marketing materials as well. You want those when you're doing your presentations. So let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving in an effort to expedite. Now this is something good. Now this is a short email, but I highlight here in the subject line. This is from a client provider who been working with for 4 or 5 months. Got them all set up. He started with 2 vehicles. Wheelchair, stretcher, accessible, looking good, great logos, tricked them out, everything from the websites to the vehicles, marketing materials, looks great, looks really good. So he sends this quick email, and he's a hard worker, love him. Subject line, contract agreement with Hospice with 12 locations, and the email is simple. He says, hello coach, I have this contract agreement that needs urgent review and inside tips. Unfortunately, I have to travel next week. My only surviving uncle is not doing too well. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your uncle, of course. Thoughts and prayers with him. A couple things. So he sent this contract. Now listen, first and foremost, I love partnering with Hospice. Hospice is a great opportunity, especially if you're stretcher accessible. If you're in a state that allows you to perform non-emergency stretcher transports, winning, huge, because most of those hospice transports, especially if it's being discharged from like a hospital or post-acute care center, nursing facility, most of them are going to be by stretcher. Not all, but a lot of them. So it's a win if you partner with them. And then a situation like this where they have 12 locations, that's phenomenal. The problem was when I looked at this contract, this was probably one of the, when I'm reviewing contracts, a lot of them with hospitals, clearly they're slanted, one-sided. If you're dealing with a large commercial or franchised nursing home chain, very legalistic and all slanted towards them. So we got to parlay that. We got to negotiate that down, and we have to shape it and prune it because we're not suckers. We're not going out like suckers. Not going to happen. We're not going to enter into one-side agreements. That's no partnership. This was probably the worst hospice one I've seen. Hospice is typically much more even-keeled and even balanced in the service agreements. This contract was probably one of the worst, so we edited the heck out of it. And we had to. Now, look, I've been doing this for a long time, and for me to say this was probably the worst one-sided hospice agreement I've seen, that's saying something. Again, if that was coming from a hospital, large medical center, got it. That would have been a layup. See it all day of the week, twice on Sunday. If it was coming from a chain of nursing facilities where the corporate is sending their contracts, then I get it. Then we're going to battle it out. I was very surprised to see this. But it had to be done. It had to be done. Because, again, if you have the opportunity to partner with hospice agencies, do it. And I'll give you a quick story. I think, many of you, if you've been with me a long time, you've probably heard the story, but it just resonates so well. And for me, it was one of those situations where when I say it was life-changing, I know it sounds cliche, but it really was. Every once in a while, you're put in a situation where you're like, dude, this is a momentous shift in the way I do things, the way I interpret things, the way I think about things, the way I approach things, because it's just the way the situation was. So we had a patient that we transported for a long time. We got to a point in time where I was no longer driving. I had multiple people in my office, plenty of drivers, all was well. And I still had my first dispatcher with me. Her name was Jolene. She called up, and I honestly don't remember the patient's name. World War II vet. Daughter lived, I want to say, in Connecticut. It could have been one of those other New England states, but either way, she was like 4 or 5 hours away. We had been transporting him long term. It wasn't for dialysis, but whatever he had, we always transport him. Anyways, he's in the hospital for a long time. Obviously had cancer, gets discharged for hospice. An ambulance company took him home. Ambulance company took him home, left him on the couch in the same bed sheets, everything. He was there with his wife. His wife had one of those little canes that had the little, like 4 little pedestal at the bottom with the 4 things to make it more stable. And so Jolene calls me and says, listen, is there any way you could stop by and basically reconnoiter the situation, see what's going on here? The ambulance company who discharged and took him home from hospice just basically left him on the couch. So I got there, and I see why they left him there. So I'm not completely bashing the ambulance companies, but I am going to make a point that, dude, ultimately they don't care. Once they deliver, they deliver. They're done. There's no way they're going to get him upstairs because the stairway had a short flight of stairs, longer, and then a hard turn. So you had 2 90-degree turns. They weren't going to get a stretcher, and they just didn't make any effort to accommodate. They just left this guy laying there like just a hunk of clothes on the couch. So I get there, and what's sad about the situation, and this is why it was life-changing for me. I knew him from before. I used to transport him a couple years prior when I was driving. World War II vet. Had all these pictures. I mean, they loved pictures in this family. Pictures all over the place. And you could literally see his entire life. And this is why it's so life-changing for me, because you can see all the pictures in his, right above him. He's sitting here laying hospice, gonna die soon, on the couch. You saw pictures from him when he was, now me as a West Pointer, former football player and all that kind of good stuff, military. I related to this. There's pictures of him black and white when he was young, fit and trim, doing sports, swim team. I remember that one. Swim team. I don't know if he did football or not, whatever. Then you'd see the fake, the old school black and white pictures where they try to do the color and you got that fake look to them. And then pictures of, kids and grandkids and vacations, all that kind of good stuff. It was just surreal, just taking it in. Anyway, so I said to the daughter's traveling in 5 or 6 hours, and I said, okay, where did you want your husband? Upstairs, she says. This and that. Okay, let me go take a quick look. I go up there. Bed wasn't even made. And so she follows me up there with her little cane thing, and I said, okay, where's the linen? So she was going to try to help me make the bed, which would have taken 17 years. I didn't have that. So I said, okay, let me do it real quick. So I made the bed, made it all nice, all that kind of stuff. I said, you sit here. I'm going to go get your husband. I wasn't even going to wait because Jolene was going to send another driver to help us figure it out, help him carry up. But his body was so diminished. The last time I saw him and last time I transported him, he was average size build. But now he's just a shell of himself. And again, I'm taking it all in with all these pictures. This is the ghost of Christmas future for me and many of you. We're young, fit, and trim now, but it's not what it's going to be. Anyway, so after making the bed, I come down and I wrapped him up, and he's kind of, in and out. I said, all right, I'm going to take you up to your bed. I'm going to wrap you up like a little chalupa. And I just put him in my arms. Now, listen, let's be honest. Should you do that? No. At the time, I was a big dude, strong dude, 6'4", 330. I could lift the world. It wasn't a big deal. And especially with him in the condition that he was in. He was lightweight. Is that something I would advise to anybody else? No. But I did it out of necessity, because it's one of those things that I'm a problem solver. You see a problem, you go, you fix it. The byproduct of this, which I had this wasn't even in my thought process when I was doing it. The byproduct, that daughter not only loved on us, she made sure that everybody at the hospice agency, the hospitals, she made sure to tell everybody about what we did. In contrast to the ambulance company, she, I can only imagine what she was saying about them, but she praised us to no end. That the byproduct of this, and the true moral of the story of this, is we got so much business out of what happened with this patient that I went into it, and it was, for me, it was a divine appointment, because I got to take all this in. I could relate to all this. Military, athlete, young, and Father Time. Father Time always collects. This is why you need to make money, love on your family, honor God, and enjoy life. Enjoy life, man, because when it's gone, and it's precious. So, and going back to this guy's contract, it's like we ended up getting so much business from hospice. Just because of that event. So my point to you is, if you have the ability to go after hospice, especially if you're stretcher accessible. Now this is from last week. Now everyone knows I love my dicey markets, and I had posted something previously. I honestly don't remember what, but again, this is one of our clients here, and I love this because he echoes everything we talk about. He sent this in back on last Monday. The markets were popping. Again, I love the choppy markets. We don't chase the profits. You don't keep buying them. It keeps going up. You don't keep buying all the time. You want to buy on those dips for sure, man. You want to buy the right stuff and have a strategic plan. You have to be very strategic in your investing. But that's how we build our honey pots, because once the honey pot is so big that we make more money than we do on our front line, you are truly boom rich free. Anyway, so he sent this last Monday. He says, Coach, seeing the benefits from the hunt. This is where I always tell my people, when there's blood in the streets, i.e. the markets are red, they're getting slashed and burned, that's when we make our money. That's when we eat. When there's blood in the streets, we dine. When there's blood in the streets, we eat. So he continues, we got more shares than ever. Makes for a faster rebound. Love the blood in the streets, Coach. And you can see, on this one day, he made over 20 grand. And I think he's probably like I don't know how I cut it off when I had this slide put together for us, but they cut it off, but I think he was at like 250,000 or something like that. And this guy just started investing last year. This is why I love the markets, man. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay, we're going to go, now this is something, again, I'm legalistic minded. This, in previous videos I talked about how we're just in a crazy spot right now where it's uncanny. Usually isn't like this, but we literally have like half a dozen situations where we're battling insurance companies. Some other admin, I should have put this for admin as well. Insurance companies don't care about you. Can we just agree on that? At the end of the day, do they care more about your bottom line or their bottom line? And if something happens, if a vehicle is totaled through no fault of your own, what's that payout? What's that valuation going to look like? They're going to undervalue it. They're going to do it. They do it consistently, and they will browbeat you. One of them we had. It was actually we were fighting with Geico. They actually, and he's in a smaller state, and Geico actually said, so we put all these comps together. I said, no, you're not giving us a valuation of like 18, 19,000. You're not giving us a valuation of that. This vehicle is closer to 32,000. Well, it doesn't matter where and I put all these comps together for him. Yeah, but Geico, we will only honor a comp within 100 miles. Boom, what's the state law say? So then I shut them up real quick with, here's a state law. Not only here's a state law, but here's case law where it was litigated and won. So you could take your 100-mile internal corporate policy and shove it up where sun doesn't shine. Now you understand why I majored in pre-lux. I love that. I love this stuff. You know, my mom always said that I should have been an attorney. Probably should have been, but I made more money not doing it. So anyways, one of them, I share this with you so you can start to understand the big picture, that if you are not an advocate for yourself, no one's going to be. Your insurance agent, technically, many of you don't know this, your insurance agent can actually negotiate your rates. I mean, there's some flexibility that he can negotiate them. Is he or she doing that? Don't know. A lot of them don't, because again, they gotta eat what they kill. So it's feast or famine for them. They want to make as much as they possibly can. They'll do all the sweet things and tell you they're your buddy, but they're really not. They gotta make as much money as they can. So do they really advocate for you? No. You have to be your own best advocate. This is where we come in and we absolutely destroy them, just like we do the Medicaid brokers. So we'll just start at the very beginning. Here is an email. We were battling with CSAA insurance, and I CC'd this guy. Todd is the guy I'm battling, but I CC'd my client, and he just responded real quick with, got him on the ropes. Because this was a situation where they gave us like a $20,000 valuation when the vehicle was worth low 30s as well. And I said, no. Boom, 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 boom. Broke him off something. Broke it off to him. After it took a while, it took a couple months, but boom, we got that at $40,000. So they cut us a check for $40 grand. Exceeded what we owed on the vehicle. It was worth everything. Winning. But on top of that, we don't just take the vehicle. What about loss of use? Because we had contracts. We lost this vehicle. It was totaled through no fault of our own. We got hit by somebody else. We have contracts we got to fill, so we have loss of use. So now we're battling this company, the CSAA, who is the loss of use, and this is delish because we're gonna hit six figures on this. We're gonna hit six figures, or we're gonna get that direction, man. It's delish. I'll just give you a quick little. Now listen, I know what many of you are thinking. How come the Battle of the Dingbats and all the national accreditation? How come they don't talk about stuff like this? This isn't in their world. They're all happy talk. Hey, how to sign up with more brokers? This is so far out of their league. They can't handle stuff like this. The White Walkers, the Slappy Pappies. This is so far out of their realm. This is just to give you a little taste of how you need to be aggressive in being an advocate of your own rescue. So I wrote, Todd, thank you for meeting us. Thank you for your message on November 24th. In response, I must again reiterate that we, as we both know, CSAA's obligation under blank are not contingent upon Sedgwick. Now, Sedgwick was the insurance company that paid us the 40 grand. And again, I have to blank out a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of people, the White Walkers, the fake book groupers, social media gurus, national accreditation clowns, and all the slappies who will watch some of the stuff that I can't have them know everything. So anyways, long story short, I'll abbreviate this. I'm basically just slapping him here. But what's key, I'm slapping him with legally what he cannot do, because he was trying to claim, well, the reason why we've delayed so long is we were waiting on this other insurance company. And I'm saying, no, basically under rules and regulations of the state, here's how it's got to be. And then I start citing case laws. I'll get to another one here. I think it shows more the second slide. And this is where I just start breaking it down. You indicate that CSAA is waiting for Sedgwick's final demand before it can proceed, but and then I cited the case law, may not delay investigation or payment by attributing responsibility to a third-party administrator. And I'm quoting directly from the state policy. CSAA must independently evaluate and respond to the claim presented directly to CSAA. And again, I won't read through all of this stuff. Again, a lot of it, obviously, I had to redact. Kind of like Mar-a-Lago raid, Russian collusion. I had to redact some of it to protect some important content. What's the moral of the story? What you don't know can hurt you. You have to be able to aggressively fight back against people. And I could show you millions of emails from these insurance clowns that they are just so warm and fuzzy, and they pressure you. Just like Medicaid brokers, sign up now. Sign up now. They try to press you. The timing. And it is never to your advantage. Never to your advantage. This is what we do best, man. And it's stuff that I love, man. Stuff that I love. All right, I'm going to finish out with this because then I got to take off because this is just delish. Okay, this goes back literally to 2015 when I first said, here's what's coming. Okay, California DMV expands permitted area for Waymo robo-taxis. Waymo can now operate in the entire Bay Area, Sacramento, and nearly all of SoCal up to the Mexican border after the California Department of Motor Vehicle approved the massive new permitted area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Folks, I've been saying this for years. It started in 2015. The minute Waymo, boom, popped, and this was their plan. And I started telling you, this is what's going to happen. This is the ghost of Christmas future. Again, I always play the long game. And this isn't rocket scientist, so it's not like I'm some prophet, but it's like you have to think strategically. With what happens today, how does it affect the future? Now, it's taken 10 years for them to expand. They're going to be running California in about 5 minutes. Do you think it's going to be just there? And I'm not even talking about just Waymo, because there's so many other companies that are doing driverless taxis and everything. Play this out. What's the rate of technology of how quickly it compounds? I mean, what you have, the phone you have in your hand right now is obsolete 6 months from now. Sorry. Yeah, you can still use it, but the technology is worthless at that point. What do you think is going to happen here? It's been 10 years to get them to this point where they're running up and down California now. Driverless taxis. How soon before it starts hitting all the other markets? And I know some of you are saying, yeah, but I'm in a smaller market. Yeah, I'm more rural. I agree with you. So you got a slower burn, but that's all you got is a slower burn. So for those of you who are still going all in on the taxis, the ambulatories, being lapdogs and sharecroppers for the brokers, just lapping up all the ambulatory work. What's your plan 3 years from now? 5 years from now? 5 years from now. Okay, I've been saying this since 2015. Do you think it's going to be another 10 years? No. If you're in any big market, do you really think it's going to be 10 more years? Really? Not even close. Not even close, coach. So this is why you need to play the long game. I'm going to say this too. For those of you, our industry, the NEMT industry, I'll pick on the NEMT industry right now, not so much the home care. The NEMT business is full of greaseballs, clowns, slappy pappies, just a lot of people who no business acumen whatsoever. I mean, it's easy to be successful, in my opinion, when the level of competition is so low because there's just so many degenerates. It's just fact. It's just fact. You could argue the point all you want. And I'm not even talking about like the tri-state area. New York is just trash. New York, and I'm from New York, so New York is trash. New York is garbage. You go down to the tri-state area, you go down to the city, which is only going to get worse. New Jersey, crap hole. Philly, oh my, dude, Philly is only, secondary to Chicago. Philly is just a frickin' cesspool. And for those of you who I offended, I don't care. I'm equal opportunity. I welcome the opportunity to offend everybody. But there's so many slappies in our industry that we all know the opportunity is growing. You've got to go after wheelchair and stretcher work. You can't be, if you think you're going to invest in more ambulatory vehicles, you're wasting your frickin' time. Or by all means, do it now. Squeeze all the juice you can. But understand, it's a fast burn for you because 3 years, 5 years from now, you ain't gonna have that. You're not gonna have that juice to squeeze. But there's just this industry is just mired with so much slappy pappies. And just look at all the fake book groupers, the Battle of the Dingbats, the White Walkers. It is just vicious. So I say all this because if you're thinking about listing my help and my team to help you, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I only want to work with people who want to make money. Bottom line. I say that because everybody comes into this business with different motivations, and I get it. A lot of people, you took your mother, your grandmother to dialysis. You saw how they all had to wait, the poor experience. I get all that. That's admirable, and I love it. But if you're getting into this because you were just so enthralled and you love medical transportation, like so many of these greaseballs who are just so low business acumen, so low rent, that's all they flipping know. I want no part of that. I'm just going to be honest with you. If you're going to be low rent, honestly, I know this sounds bad to say, but if you're low rent, I just don't want to work with you. I want to work with people. Their goal is to make money. Therefore, your NEMT business, your home care, your logistics business, everything that we work with you on, it is a quote-unquote vehicle, a tool. It's an opportunity to be leveraged for you to make money. If the goal is to be the best NEMT provider or whatever, you go partner with your brokers and your slide. Go to the national accreditation. Go to the conventions. Wear the lanyards. Have the breakout sessions where you're taught by the brokers who are constantly filing for bankruptcy and having to rebrand because the brand sucks. Go listen to them. If you're serious about making money, then by all means, you're the type of person that we want to work with. Why? Because when you do, I'll see you at the top.